So I guess you obviously weren't backing off your comments tonight. You still you were still going hard after Wes. What led you to making your statement today about the effort so far, and then you're wanting of the local representatives to resign?
Because right in this very room, they misled us about the interim study, the interim report. They led us to believe it's going to be a basis for action, that the government is desperate to have a direction, that the interim report would give them direction, and by now we would have recovery, relocation efforts and flood prevention underway.
And you're still waiting at this point for anything to happen?
Nothing has happened at all.
The interim report, from what I read, kind of get the impression that all it was just an update on what they were doing. Is that
That's all
right?
it was, and in fact it's just an outline of one study after another. When it said, the thing that got me is it was deceptive. It was like deliberately deceptive. It said work will be underway by the middle of August, work will be underway by this, and every time it says work, it just means another study, another survey.
And do you have any hope that maybe the next one that's supposed to be out in 2 weeks will be any different?
It'll be totally different, but it'll be something they cannot act on. It'll be so complicated that they'll have to study it. It's like one of its members said, it could be 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years, we could have 4 or 5 floods.
Do you think it just lead to more studies and more inaction?
We met with the Premier, and like I said, why I made my little spiel about knowing what being thrown in at the deep end with politicians, because those guys in the council are really innocent. They bought his manner, like his friendly, sincere, warm, considerate, caring. He really was all those things. But he never committed to us having our hospital, to getting relocation underway this year, to dredging the river, to taking any measures whatsoever this year. In fact, he said, we're not talking about this year, we're talking about 2 years.
So when this report comes out in 2 weeks, what will you be expecting, maybe as far as time frame and as far as promises from the government?
I'm hoping that they will embarrass the hell out of me, and they will act right away, and they'll start dredging the river, they'll start putting up the berms or whatever that we're going to be doing here. And they will get the relocation, especially. It has to be underway right away, because you can't just like move people up the hill. You have to build a foundation for them. You have to let it harden. It has to be ready for them, and then you move them up. We can do that part. All we need is to go ahead, and we need to know how many we're going to do.
So you kind of mentioned leveraging the government during your address tonight. Was the whole purpose of your statement basically to try and put some pressure on the government?
Put some pressure on, but also I want Wes McLean to resign. I want Mike Allen to resign, whichever one actually has the honor to do it. It's a sense of honor enough, and they both are working hard for us, right? But they misled us about a matter that involves life or death. People can still die because of that, because of this inaction. In whichever one, if one of them resigns, they can call a by-election. I'll resign, and I'll run against them. Let the people decide. Keep saying, it's up to the voters. Leave it up to the voters. Let the voters decide.